The rain poured relentlessly, drumming against the roof of a sleek black SUV as it pulled into the circular driveway of the Imperial Sunset Hotel in Long Beach, California. The hotel's opulent chandeliers cast a golden glow onto the wet pavement, an aura of luxury that promised comfort and refuge for weary travelers. But on this particular night, for one distinguished guest, the reception was anything but welcoming. Snoop Dogg stepped out of his car, adjusting the collar of his iconic blue and gold jacket. Towering at 6 feet 4 inches with an unmistakable presence, he strode into the grand lobby. His polished shoes clicked against the marble floor, the faint aroma of fresh-cut roses mingling with the smell of espresso from a nearby lounge. Approaching the reception desk, he offered a laid-back smile. "Good evening," he said, his tone warm and calm. "I need a room for the night. My flight got delayed, and I'll need a place to stay before catching the next one." Behind the desk stood a young man named Chris. With slick-back blonde hair and a sharp black suit, Chris glanced briefly at Snoop before typing sluggishly on the computer keyboard. "I'm sorry, sir," he said in a tone devoid of sincerity. "We're fully booked." Snoop raised an eyebrow, glancing around the lobby. It was quiet, with only the occasional chime of an elevator signaling activity. The room hardly looked full. "Fully booked, huh?" Snoop asked, his smile unwavering. "Not a single room available." Chris's lips curved into a thin, dismissive smile. "That's correct," he replied curtly. Before Snoop could respond, the revolving doors opened. A middle-aged couple entered, their suitcases trailing behind them. Chris's demeanor shifted instantly. His face brightened as he greeted the newcomers with enthusiasm. "Welcome to the Imperial Sunset. Do you have a reservation?" The man shook his head. Without missing a beat, Chris typed briskly on the keyboard and handed the couple a room key. "Enjoy your stay," he said cheerfully. Snoop observed the exchange, his calm demeanor beginning to crack. "I thought you said you were fully booked," he said, his voice steady but pointed. Chris faltered, his smile faltering briefly before recovering. "I meant that we don't have anything that would suit your needs," he stammered. Realization dawned on Snoop. This wasn't about availability. It wasn't about his last-minute request. It was something far uglier. Without another word, he turned on his heel and walked out into the rain, his composure intact but his mind whirring. Snoop stood under the awning, the rain falling in steady sheets around him. Pulling out his phone, he began scrolling through options for nearby hotels. But his gaze drifted back to the revolving doors, replaying the scene he had just witnessed. A suspicion gnawed at him, compelling him to stay just out of sight to observe. It didn't take long for his suspicions to be confirmed. A young man in casual clothes, cargo pants and a hoodie, entered the lobby and approached the desk. Snoop watched as Chris greeted the man with the same wide smile and accommodating tone he had used with the couple. Within moments, the man was handed a key card. No excuses, no hesitation. Snoop's lips pressed into a firm line. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was deliberate. He considered confronting Chris then and there but decided against it. Over the years, he'd learned that restraint was often more effective than a confrontation. Tonight, he would act, but in his own way. He slipped back into his car and drove away, the golden lights of the hotel fading in his rearview mirror. An idea began to form. This wasn't just about him. It was about every person who had faced the same silent rejection but lacked the platform to challenge it. He wouldn't let this go. As rain streaked down the windshield, Snoop arrived at a small diner with a glowing red neon sign, Moe's 24/7 Eats. Inside, he slid into a booth by the window and pulled out his laptop. The smell of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee filled the air. A waitress placed a steaming cup of coffee in front of him, and he nodded his thanks before diving into work. For months, Snoop had heard whispers about the Imperial Sunset being part of a struggling hotel chain. The idea of buying it had barely crossed his mind at the time. But tonight, everything had changed. He called his attorney, Lisa Reynolds, a sharp negotiator with a reputation for closing deals quickly. "Lisa," he said, his voice steady, "I want the Imperial Sunset Hotel paperwork finalized by sunrise." Sunrise? Lisa echoed, surprised but not doubting his resolve. "Consider it done." By the time the first light of dawn broke, the deal was sealed. The Imperial Sunset Hotel now belonged to Snoop Dogg. As the morning sun lit up the glass facade of the hotel, Snoop stepped out of his car, a quiet confidence radiating from him. Dressed in a custom-designed jacket and sunglasses, he walked through the revolving doors with purpose. The staff bustled about the lobby, preparing for another day. Chris was already at the desk, his polished demeanor intact. He didn't notice Snoop at first. When Snoop approached the desk, Chris greeted him with the same practiced smile. "Good morning, sir. How can I help you today?" Without a word, Snoop placed a sleek black folder on the counter and opened it to reveal signed legal documents. "I'm here to introduce myself," he said, his tone calm but commanding. "As of this morning, I'm the new owner of the Imperial Sunset Hotel." The room fell silent. Staff members froze mid-task, turning to look at the exchange. Chris's face turned pale as he stammered, I don't understand." Snoop's gaze didn't waver. "Let me make it simple. This hotel is under new ownership, and last night, I witnessed firsthand how some of the staff treat potential guests. Let's just say I wasn't impressed." Chris opened his mouth to respond, but Snoop raised a hand. "No need to explain. Actions speak louder than words, and yours were loud and clear. You're dismissed, effective immediately." The other staff members exchanged glances, some nodding subtly in approval. Snoop turned to address them, his voice firm but not unkind. "This isn't just about last night. It's about creating a culture of fairness, respect, and inclusion. Starting today, this hotel will be a place where every guest is treated with dignity." Over the weeks that followed, the Imperial Sunset underwent a complete transformation. The staff participated in diversity and inclusion training, led by professionals who encouraged open dialogue and personal growth. The hotel's outdated decor was replaced with warm, inviting tones, and the lobby became a welcoming space for all guests. One staff member, Maria, a housekeeper with years of experience, emerged as a leader during the transition. Her empathy and problem-solving skills earned her a promotion to assistant manager. "I never thought I'd have this kind of opportunity," she told Snoop during one of their check-ins. He smiled and said, "You earned it." News of the hotel's transformation spread quickly, attracting both former and new guests. Reviews praised the hotel not just for its luxurious accommodations but for the atmosphere of kindness and respect that now defined every interaction. On a crisp morning, Snoop stood in the renovated lobby, sipping coffee as sunlight streamed through the windows. Maria approached with a clipboard. "The guest surveys are in," she said. Over 90% mention hospitality as the highlight of their stay. Snoop smiled. "That's what I like to hear. It's not just about the building, it's about the people." The Imperial Sunset Hotel was no longer just a place to stay. It had become a symbol of change, proving that a single act of courage could transform not only a business but the lives of everyone it touched. This story reminds us all of the power of standing against prejudice and creating an environment of fairness and respect. Let this transformation inspire you to reflect on the moments in your own life where you can make a difference. How will you act when faced with the opportunity to bring about change? Share your thoughts, and let's continue this conversation about courage, justice, and the impact of inclusivity.